Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. Reina Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis, and of course, keeping it real when it comes to theme parks. So, part of that whole keeping it real thing, this is the Theme Park Geeks and Divas live stream where we just have fun, just talking theme park stuff, and I'm so excited that Chris Gore is joining us and Culture Casino is with us. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
I'm ecstatic. I'm super pumped. I've been looking forward to this show since you talked about doing it, and once you indicated Chris was going to be here, I was like overjoyed. So this is going to be great. I'm really excited.
I really am. It was so cool because I had put out a video. I believe I was talking about, what the heck was I talking about? I think I was talking about, that overpriced Christmas party at Disney World. And I put out a video about it, and I was talking about it in comparison to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And then Chris DMs me and is like, yeah, it's a cool video. Talk about like Galaxy's Edge versus, Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I'm like, yeah. And I know just the guy we need to bring on here too. So I'm like, Culture, you pop it on. He's like, yeah. So thanks you guys for dropping in with this. I'm really excited. We're gonna get to talk about, some people kind of just forget just how much fun it is to just talk about theme parks and how much fun they are, and and comparing and contrasting them. So let me welcome our chat real quick before we get started. Let's see, we have Snortopoopas Q Burr in the chat. Thanks for being a channel member. Says hello humans and other critters. Well, hello to you too. Glad you're here. And we have Ghost Fixter who says, how's it going? Well, it is going great. It's going great. You guys are here with us. We have got, let's see, Black Superwoman, another channel member, and another fellow Slytherin. I love it. Peeks in the door. Speaking of Slytherin, and I know we were talking about Nocturne Alley before I forget. Do you know I finally saw the Vanishing Cabinet? I've been in that place I don't know how many times and had not seen the Vanishing Cabinet.
Oh, wow.
Like at all. I'm like, holy crap, that just blew my mind. Let's see, we have Keely Chow is here, of course. Roll Tide. Keely Chow says, hey everybody. And we have Rogue Disney who says, howdy y'all. Well, hello to you too, Rogue Disney. Glad to see you. And we've got Daniel Hall. Hello, says hi all. Culture's welcoming everybody. Yeah, I did a shock face. Yeah, I know. Bad Slytherin. And I think it's because it's so dark in Borgin and Borgin and Burke's. It's so dark you couldn't see it in that particular corner. So I don't know if they snuck it in there or the lighting finally was working. But I'm turning around, I look, and there freaking is. It was flipping awesome. Yeah. Hello, Allie says bonjour. And D-Day Doug says hello everyone. Well, hello to you too, and glad you guys are all here with us. But before we kick off and get started, Chris, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell us what your favorite theme park is?
Oh wow. Well, I am Chris Gore from Film Threat. I was at G4 TV for about 7-8 years, doing a segment called DVD Tuesday. You might have seen me pop up lately in your YouTube feed. I did some videos for Film Courage, which some people, there's a lot of comments on what I said. So look up my name in Film Courage.
Okay.
You'll see I started a bit of a debate, but always been a theme park fan. I am a novice. I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable as both of you. I did an article in Film Threat magazine once about the abandoned Sid and Marty Krofft theme park that was in Atlanta, Georgia, where they had a full-size pinball machine of which you are the ball. It was a really weird theme park in Atlanta. You can look that up. Just look up Sid and Marty Krofft Land Atlanta. There are pictures of it. Did an article about it years ago in Film Threat. I've always just been a fan of theme parks, and I see sort of the good and the bad that's happening just as I'm a consumer. I buy my ticket and I attend a theme park, but I have seen the Disney brand, in my opinion, just tarnished. I feel they're greedy, and it's when my kids were little, I used to love to take them to Disneyland. I don't think they're beyond the age where they would care, but I don't know that like I don't see how a family can afford to go to Disneyland now. It's unbelievable what it's become. It's really just sort of, to me, just like really sort of become obvious what the divide is now. We've got like just a ever shrinking middle class, and it's just become the elitist theme park. Whereas other theme parks like Universal in Los Angeles is a very affordable theme park in terms of an annual pass. And I'm excited to talk about, Galaxy's Edge kind of versus the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because I've been to both more than once. So I have opinions. And I was so, I mean, not to tip anyone off, I was so disappointed about the Star Wars. Let's just call it Star Wars Land. Nobody calls it Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Star Wars Land, or it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I was disappointed. I was disappointed at the approach. And I don't think that they've made, from what I can see, they have not made any of the only improvements they made are cosmetic in nature. They've introduced new food items and more stuff to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And more expensive, right?
Well, it's like, I reached a point where it's like, I don't care so much about things, but I do care about experiences. Because if you ask me, what'd you do for your birthday 10 years ago? I can't think of what anyone gave me, but I can remember what I did, right? What experiences I had with friends, whether it was a theme park or we did something special. So theme park experiences, I think, are very important. And now I see this, what is this, Galactic Cruiser experience.
Hotel.
Galactic Star. Oh, yeah.
It's more expensive than a cruise, right? And so, I have some strong opinions about this. And I'm grateful that I'm joined by people much smarter than I am and are more knowledgeable. Again, I have a tertiary knowledge of theme parks. I enjoy them as a fan, and I've listened to some theme park podcasts. So I do like to get into it. Like, I have an appreciation for the Imagineers. I've been to D23 and sat in the really nerdy, where they get the Imagineers up there that are retired, but they know everything. They also, they don't care about anything. You know what I mean? Like, they'll just tell you right out what they think, which is awesome. So I just appreciate being a part of this. And I appreciate, Lorena, I saw you doing, I was like, hey, I've written about theme parks in the past. I have some opinions. So,
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear them.
Like I said, I've been waiting for this for a couple weeks since we talked about it. I'm fired up. So
awesome. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, Culture, you tell them. What's your favorite theme park?
Well, okay, so as you know, I was born in Disney, basically. Might as well have been, and spent my childhood in Disneyland 2, 3, 4 times a year at times. Sometimes, with family. We were fortunate enough to, be in that middle class, upper middle class area after a period of time when I was a bit older. So got to have extended vacations and things like that as I got older into my teens, and some of my friends went on to work for Disney in various things. I can't say too much because a couple of them are still there. And I was one of those people that wanted to be an Imagineer, but I didn't want to follow a couple of my friends' paths. So I went about doing some other things that were also related, that were a lot of fun as hobbies. And so there's that. But I've been obviously everywhere. I mean, I've been to Universal, and back when Universal really was amazing with the tram tour in California, you used to be able to go through the area with the Cylons and the old Battlestar Galactica portion. Yeah. There was some amazing stuff on that tram tour. Yeah, it was incredible. You can still find videos of that on YouTube. And I really love that, because I was watching TV show up in my theme park, and Disney did that kind of, but they hadn't done it exactly that way until they came out with the Indiana Jones attraction, and you literally were inside of that film. But I obviously had a lot of exposure to California, and then every once in a while Florida, right? So I've been to obviously both parks in Florida, and I've sampled a lot of theme parks around places, and I can say that I really enjoy the space that you have in Disney World, but Disneyland will always be my home theme park, because it's amazing. It's the gold standard. It's the gem. And I think Chris mentioned, and I agree that the tarnish is quite significant when it comes to the crown jewel of the theme park industry. And Disney World right now is essentially their crown jewel of that crown jewel, that crown. And they have done nothing but diminish its value in various different ways over a period of time. So right now, I think you get more value out of Universal, and we can talk about that later. But did I answer the question, or did I go on for 20 minutes?
Oh, no, you did. There's a reason. It's like it's the first show, so you kind of baseline. So it kind of answers that question of, well, why should I listen to you when it comes to theme parks? So for me, my experience, of course, my mother's side of the family is from Florida. So I remember going to Disney World when I was like about 2. So I remember Main Street USA looking absolutely huge. I remember getting lost on Main Street USA, but not really knowing that I was lost. I didn't care because there were like all these like cool, stuffed animals and everything around. For my mother, because they lived in rural North Florida, Putnam County. It's a rural, poor area. The one television show that they saw in color was The Wonderful World of Disney. That would come on every Sunday. Now imagine you start hearing in the news that maybe Walt Disney's building a park in Florida. Maybe. They can't verify it, but you're seeing all this stuff in the news. And it's like, wow, if we get what they have out there in California to like, this place is nothing but swamp and orange groves, how cool is that? And it was discussed, I think, like over weeks, over months. And then finally the announcement comes down. Guess what? Walt Disney's building a park in Orlando. So my parents they started visiting there, I think from like opening day that they went. And for years, like 4 generations of my family have been through that park. I remember my grandfather basically, with this Panama hat on, smoking a Cuban cigar when you could do that. And you could do that, at the parks. And even for like my friends, that was the thing. Like your parents saved like all year, you saved, money from your part-time job or whatever. So everybody could, go to Disney. It wasn't super, super affordable, but it was doable. You know what I mean? It's like it was doable and the value was there. It's like you got there, the rides were like nothing that that you'd ever been on before. And the theme park experience, from being a kid to going as a college student to, going when I actually had a job, when I can actually afford to buy some of the things, to bring like my nieces and nephews there. It was like a generational thing. And now it's like it's tarnished. The value there is like it's gone. And it's, and it's heartbroken when you're used to something where it was something to find out, hey, we went to Disney. Now it's kind of like, well, why do you want to go there? It's expensive. It's hot. You're not getting your money's worth. And Universal is better. We used to joke that say that, you don't want to go to Six Flags. You want to go to Disney. Now it's like, maybe you do want to go to Six Flags instead of going to Disney.
Well, yeah, I mean, and again, Disney World, again, the crown jewel of the current crown for Disney, they've devalued it substantially. You can't find a good place to eat in Magic Kingdom. They dumbed down the menu at the one decent restaurant that was there, which was the Skipper's Canteen, that they created purposefully to have a decent dining option in Magic Kingdom. And food is so drastically overpriced, it's ridiculous. You get a lot of value when you go to Universal. Their annual pass, and it doesn't matter if it's California or Florida, gives you so much more value.
Oh my gosh, between free parking, between discounts, between sometimes getting to park in prime parking, even though your pass doesn't cover it. Sometimes just say, go ahead and park in the prime parking. All the gear that you get, the swag that you get, being able to get into the park, at least with my pass, now it's back, getting in like an hour before, the general public gets to go. And they make it a big deal of how much they love, their pass holders, which I don't know if you saw on Twitter today, but they actually said some people have been asking about our annual passes. So here's the information. Yeah,
Uh,
they Universal has made and they've made it very known they're coming after Disney. And when Epic Universe is built here and Nintendo World is dropped in, it's game over.
it is. It is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what's cool about theme parks like Universal, and I would even throw in Knott's
Berry Farm.
Knott's Scary Farm, which to me has a better horror night experience than any of them combined.
Scary Farm.
I go every year, Knott's Scary Farm, and they have like a premium ticket you can get where you go through this thing that this haunt that's like it's sort of like a Saw-like experience where you go in a room and you have to. It's like an escape room, so you've got to like get to the next room. But I feel like they try harder. That's what I think is Disney doesn't care. I get the sense that Disney doesn't care about the consumer as much anymore because they're just taking, whatever. We're at capacity. There's no incentive for them to try harder. And it reminds me of back in the day, years ago, I had season tickets to the LA Avengers. And the LA Avengers was the arena football team that played at Staples Center. And yes, I did have season tickets because they were named the Avengers. This is way before Marvel movies, right, in the early 2000s. And it was cheaper than going to the movies was to get tickets to go to this, to see the LA Avengers. And they tried harder. Every time you went, it was free jerseys and this. And they really like made the whole experience. They understand, people going to see a sporting event at a modern ballpark, every minute of the experience has to be taken up with something, a t-shirt gun or, the kiss cam or just something to make it so you're constantly entertained. And I feel like Universal and Knott's, they just try harder. The pricing is so much better. I mean, Knott's has a thing where you can basically get free drink refills every time you go and a food pass. So you just pay one annual price and you eat when you go there. It's crazy. Wow. So the amount that they have gone out of their way to go after the Disney audience that just sort of fed up with Disney. I mean, I was an annual pass holder for a couple of years, and just every year reliably, it was $150 increase, $200. Then they would just do that thing that they do with a lot of pricing of consumer goods these days, is they don't raise the price, but they take things away. Right. So it's like, we'll give you a 6-ounce portion of potato chips for what you used to pay, for an 8-ounce, the same price. You know what I'm saying? Like right. So I've seen this sort of creeping in, and it's really distressing. And really, like, just as someone who was back in the day an annual pass holder for Disneyland, to just see like, and I've also had an annual pass for Universal. But it's disheartening to see the experience so diminished. And I think the end for me with Disney was the opening of Galaxy's Edge, how that was handled, how there's this sort of elitism, which I see is creeping into many aspects of society now. I don't want to divert into a whole other conversation that has nothing to do with theme parks, but I feel like there's a creeping elitism that is just dividing people more and more. Theme parks is just sort of one way that this is illustrated. But when Galaxy's Edge came out, it was a colossal disappointment for me. I wrote an article on Film Threat, which I don't write so much on Film Threat as much anymore. I mostly do podcasting and YouTube, but I wrote an article, I think it was called 5 Ways to Improve Galaxy's Edge or something. I did a video accompanying it where I kind of a little bit made fun of some travel bloggers by just poking fun at myself.
I saw that.
Yeah. But it was about Galaxy's Edge, and it was just like, I don't know, there was something about it that was so, the best term I can think is it was calculated. And to me, it's Galaxy's Edge is a shopping mall. It's a shopping mall.
That's what I used to call it. I said it's a strip mall with a dive bar in it.
It's an Indian bazaar is what it is. In India. Bizarre. Yeah, it is. You're not wrong. And that was the thing that struck me. Now, mind you, I went to both of the very first sets of previews for both coasts, for both of these, park expansions. It was a waste of 14 very incredibly important acres on Disneyland property. Not so much with the Disney World location there in the Studios Park, because that was largely wasted anyway. And had they not abandoned the original concept, I think they would have been far better off than what we ended up with, because you would have ended up in the original trilogy films, and you would have had a more satisfying experience with a lot of touchstones to your childhood and to your life experiences, and in the end, the actual cinema that actually brought you to the universe anyway. But it is devoid of life. It is the weirdest experience in the world, aside from the sweaty tourists that are all around at either location. You are. It's a food, and it's a marginal food, not great beverage, and terrible shopping experience is what it is. Because just trying to get into the attractions is a nightmare. It just is.
Yeah, the whole thing was for me. What do I want out of a Star Wars theme park? Right? What do I want out of that experience? I want it to be immersive. I want to feel like I am in Star Wars, right? I want to be in the world of Star Wars. I don't want to be reminded to buy retail stuff constantly. Every little shop wasn't anything to be experienced. It was like, well, this sells this, and this sells this, and this sells this. And the fact that they didn't focus it so much on the original trilogy, whatever it is, Batu is the planet. Like, I don't care. That's fanfic to me. I don't care. And I think that anyone that, is, especially as a parent, you're going to show your kids Star Wars, you show them Star Wars, starting with, episode 4 or A New Hope, or just, Star Wars, which is what it was to me growing up, right? Like focusing it on the sequel trilogy was a colossal miscalculation. And the fact that it wasn't immersive, that's what actually I love, having gone to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And I've been on both Universal in Hollywood and Universal Orlando. The Universal Orlando one's better just because it has Diagon Alley and
they're broken up.
Right? And so it's bigger. Obviously, there's more real estate to be able to use that space, but it feels immersive. It's the music, it's the smells, it's the everybody dressed up, and the fact that the you've got those wands that you can use that have interactive experiences. It's so fun. Not everything. The food even seems more authentic, right? You feel like you're there, and especially I've gone during the holidays when they do the whole light show.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's it gives me chills. It's fantastic. Whereas nothing about my experience at Galaxy's Edge ever gave me a chill. It just felt cheap. It felt like the dollar store version of a Star Wars theme park with Space Captain. You know what I mean? It was just like so generic. It's not in our the Star Wars sequel trilogy just has not become embedded in our cultural zeitgeist in the way that the original trilogy did. And so, but Harry Potter has. I don't know. So yes, I'm rambling. This will happen if
you're fine.
You're fine. This is
Reina, if you have me on a live stream, I'm going to rant because I get worked up.
Well, that's why. That's exactly why this is here, because and I want to say, in that video that I did where I was talking about Disney's like overpriced Christmas show, and I went literally on a rant for just like grabbed my wand. I said, "You see this?" I said, "You see this? This is a $60 wand, interactive wand. I can buy this. Go to Diagon Alley, go to Hogsmeade, go in any of those interactive stations and use this relentlessly. They drop another one in there. I don't have to buy a new wand. You know what? I just go there and I do it. And I can bring this. I bought it. It's done. I get so much value out of this. I can go to Three Broomsticks and get, butterbeer. I can go to the candy store and get a chocolate frog, which actually has a collector's card in here of Albus Dumbledore. And so
you can get a butterbeer with a shot of Jameson, which I have done.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, the food is better, right? When you have breakfast in Hogsmeade, you go to the Three Broomsticks.
Mhm.
Breakfast is incredible. It's like what quick serves at Disney World used to be, right? But if you
Mhm.
go to try to get breakfast in Galaxy's Edge, you're disappointed. You get some weird shaped, nasty tasting sausage thing at the Ronto Roasters or whatever the
Ronto
heck that place is
roasting.
called. Yeah, and then or you go into the docking bay. Whoever cares, don't know anything about it.
Rocking
Restaurant,
Bay.
and that's
Mhm, mhm.
not even decent food either. And it's there at every step. Disney is stepping down the quality and increasing the prices. And that's the thing, Chris. I think it's more than what you're saying. I mean, the again, you put a guy in charge of the theme parks before he became the CEO. You put a retail guy in that position, and you watch the quality of the parks just go downhill, and the retail, exploitation go up. That's all that guy knows. And now he's in charge of the whole damn company, which means he's going to bring that down even further because you know what? He
Mhm.
lives up to his name, cheapskate.
Just
So,
to kind of add
sorry,
to. Oh, it's
but
okay to kind of add to that before I get the Muggsykins super
yeah,
chat, which I do
yeah.
see.
Oh,
Um, One of the things about being at Universal, I swear I keep saying shut up and take my money because I
yeah,
keep seeing
yeah.
things that I want, even stuff like it's just an insulated lunch bag, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? It says Honey Dukes on it.
It's
I got
cute.
it for $12 when I, bought $35 worth of candy at Honey Dukes. But the merchandise that's there, and it used to be like this at Disney. You had less money, but there was all this merch that you wanted. I'll go to a Disney park and it's just like, no, no, that's not worth it to me. And then that never used to be an issue. It was always, I want everything and I want it now. Well, Muggsykins, thank you so much for the $5 Canadian super chat. I so do appreciate that. Thank you. I can spend a fortune to spend a weekend at a Star Wars hotel, or I can
Yeah.
spend the same amount and have my basement renovated to look like Star Wars. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're actually spending less than 2 full days in the hotel installation. I mean, in their cruiser. Just so you know. I mean, if you actually look at the time you board, and to the time that you have to be leaving, just like on a real cruise, you're literally not quite there 2 days. So it's infuriating to me. But you know what, Muggsykins, if you want, I'll come up there to Canada and I will help you renovate your basement, and I will make sure that everything looks the way it's supposed to.
I saw something. There was like a Star Wars mansion.
Yeah.
Sold for like I forget how many million. It was all original trilogy. It was
Yeah, I think I've got. I may have marked that
crazy.
somewhere. Yeah, let me see if I can dig it up. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Let's go back in time. The reason that people started buying color televisions was because of Disneyland Park. Most people don't know this, but the first broadcast of the Wonderful World of Color, or at the time, that was a broadcast television show in color to promote Disneyland. That inspired people to, I mean, that was the original intent of that show, was to get to the point where Walt could present Disneyland to the world, along with all the other things that were promoted there, like elements of Fantasia, clips of different cartoons and stuff. That all came along with it. But one of the original inspirations for people in this country to get a color television was that particular program. Wow. Most people don't know that. So, I mean, and I've been invested and embedded in Disney my whole life because my mom visited Disneyland when it opened. The first year it opened, my mother was there. My grandfather took her. My grandpa made sure all of the kids and grandkids went to Disneyland with regularity. And there were other reasons that, people became embedded in Disney, it's just, it tears away at me every time I see the depreciation in the quality and the value that you get out of these parks. The hotel experiences are diminished. The food experiences are diminished. They literally went from charging very nominal parking fees to exorbitant parking fees. I mean, does your car, in order to be parked on the lot, really mean it's $35 to sit there in the theme park where you're spending $100 and change just to go into the theme park with no guarantee that you're going to get on any of the attractions that you would want to be on? No. And are you going to be able to eat at the restaurant that you want to? Probably not, unless you booked it 180 days ago. And that's the other ridiculous thing. I think the greatest downward slide was thanks to Tom Skaggs and the integration of this new technology program that he put in place that kind of led us to where we are now, to shake more wallet out of your pockets with the magic bands and everything else, and the changing of a legacy fast pass program, which was fair for everybody, being completely changed to something that creates artificial scarcity. And actually creates lines that don't move on omnimover attractions. And what an omnimover means is it doesn't stop. The attraction is always running. So Haunted Mansion is an omnimover. The Little Mermaid attraction is an omnimover. The Spaceship Earth is an omnimover. They had all of these different attractions. They would get thousands and thousands. The functional capacity of those attractions were astounding. And one of the reasons that they got rid of Horizons wasn't because it was sinking. That's a myth, kids. It was because that attraction didn't have the appearance of a bunch of lines. It was the most efficient, high capacity omnimover that had ever been built. So it wouldn't get lines unless it was having breakdowns or slowdowns because of, people needing assistance on and off the attraction. That one, literally thousands and thousands of people would be able to utilize. And again, now we're going to charge people for fast pass, and then we're going to have instant fast pass lightning lanes. And now you're making the vacation planning harder and harder. And this started with Tom Skaggs and the people in that brain trust. Of course, he's gone. And you ended up expanding more on it. So you're doubling down on destroying guest experience for your common guests. Anyway, this is the other thing I know we were going to talk about today.
Yeah, because I wanted to get into this too. So I haven't been an annual pass holder for a while, and I'd actually kind of put it off, especially when it got to be extremely expensive because I was from out of state. So there's some certain options you couldn't get. So now they've announced their new revamped annual pass holder program. So if you are from out of state, guess what? You're out of luck. You only have one pass option, and that one's about $1,300. $1,300. Okay. Yeah. So what they did was, so now you can choose from 4 unique passes. Isn't that neat? Looks like you have that option, right? Pixie Dust Pass. Guess what? You have to be a Florida resident in order to get that. One for $6.99. Hold up to 4 park reservations at a time. You have a little bit less blockout dates. Guess what? Got to be a Florida resident to get that. Sorcerer Pass, a little bit better. $8.99 plus tax. If you're a Florida resident, you can do monthly payments with a $205 down payment. Available to Florida residents and DVC members only. Only. Then there's the Incredipass, $1,300 plus tax. That's tax. If you're from out of state, guess what? You have to drop down all of that money plus tax. Okay. And guess what you don't get with these now?
No parking.
They actually kept that, but no photo pass.
Oh, wow.
No photo pass. None of that. No photo pass. No free fast pass access anymore. That's out of the loop. That's gone. And these are markedly more expensive.
Well, that's why before the 8th rolls around, I'll be renewing my annual pass under the previous plan, because I'm not going to be subjected to this ridiculousness. So this is the kind of thing that has always frustrated me, is how they go about doing it. And yes, it's a huge amount of money. Again, can we compare this to Universal?
Oh yeah. Universal, I
Oh.
think my 3. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say, I'd like
Okay.
to comparison.
Yeah, I think
I really want to go back to theme parks when I don't have to wear a mask, because I was told, 15 days to slow the spread. I was told if I get vaccinated, I don't have to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. These experiences are not fun with the masking on, mask off. It's this yo-yo policy that seems to change with, whatever. So when I am able to not wear a mask out in public, like they said, then I'll get an annual pass for a theme park, but I'm not going to Disneyland, and I'm not going until I'm able to not have to wear a mask. And I know that the rules change I can't even keep up, where I go somewhere, I'm like, do I wear a mask to Target? I mean, I've always got one in my pocket just in case. And I'm not an anti-mask. You know what? I like to follow the rules, but I would like the rules to be consistent.
And that's the thing, because
consistent. So
yeah.
So for those people that have been hesitant about certain things, I understand, because the messaging from the people at the top has been so god awful on every level. The fact that we blame the people that are like, I don't know what the rules are half the time, especially in California, where you're like, okay, in LA County, it's this, in Orange County, it's something different, and other places. So when I know I can safely go to Disneyland without wearing a mask, I'll be back. Until then, I haven't been in years. I haven't been since Galaxy's Edge opened originally, and it looks like a horrible, miserable experience from friends, including, I know John Campea famously had kind of a meltdown, whatever you think of that. I think it's always entertaining when John Campea has a meltdown, but
oh yeah.
I know the guy. But he had a meltdown. He had a very good point, which was that I paid to go to a theme park and have an experience, and then there's this extra step about going to a Rise of the Resistance, and what I mean, like these other experiences, right? That you have to be on the app at a certain time, and within seconds you're either in or not. I mean, that just seems ridiculous. And I'm moderately tech savvy. I'm sure I'd be fine with it, but an average person is not necessarily going to be. And so that I find it's offensive to me that they've done this. It's the height of arrogance on Disney's part. And so, John had this meltdown over, he was there with his wife. You can look it up. It was an anniversary weekend for them. They just wanted to go to Rise of the Resistance.
Right.
All this money. They were there for a weekend. It didn't happen. And I think he has a really good point.
Yep.
So these things that, like, look, I used to just go get the fast passes, loved it. This is going to sound lame. I'm a Soarin' fan. I love Soarin'. Soarin' over California.
That's a fun one. Yeah.
I love that ride. You just get the smells. It's just sort of that feeling in your stomach. Like, whoa, it's just sort of relaxing. I mean, I like to have several drinks before I go on Soarin', which even adds to the experience. There's a running theme with me. I like to go to Carthay Circle. I've been to Club 33 a couple times because I've been fortunate enough to have friends.
Nice.
So, that was quite an experience. But I've always loved the Disneyland. You go to California Adventure, you get your booze on, you go to Disneyland, you sneak in a flask, you're good to go. That terrible, in Galaxy's Edge, they've got that terrible bar, which is not the cantina from Star Wars.
No.
There is one bar in Star Wars. It's the cantina in Mos Eisley. That's the bar. All these other bars are made up. Hey, Tom. Hey, Tom, I'm back.
Hey.
Good to talk. Good to see you. And I knew some of what Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be. I can't say exactly who, but a friend of mine who works at another competing theme park, there was a plan where part of the experience of Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be seeing a story play out live. And add to that immersiveness, kind of like a Westworld, where there were supposed to be smugglers in some sort of like shootout with stormtroopers. All that, they took that entire script, and that script ended up happening at another theme park. It ended up a version of that ended up happening at Knott's, and all the actors, they hired the actors that were supposed to do that and had them do something else at Knott's Berry Farm. So, which I think that like that theme park, they try harder. They give you way more for your money. Scary Farm is great. I went to all the food festivals that they had during the pandemic or whatever. And I went to all those food festivals and it was amazing. The value you got for your money. So knowing what Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be and then what it turned out to be is just such a colossal disappointment.
Yeah.
It's kind of pathetic.
Here, let me disappoint you some more. Chris. So there was supposed to be another attraction. Okay, an elevated attraction. You were supposed to be able to go on a bantha ride that would take you around all of Black Rock Spire. Okay, and the animatronic, the vehicle had already been worked out. Your experience had already been worked out. They've showed, video to people of how this thing was supposed to operate. It would have been elevated. Now, one of the things that made Disney different than an amusement park was the kinetics. Right. They had 3 different eye levels of things happening all around you. So you had the monorail, you had the people mover, you had all these elevated things happening. You had things at ground level, you had things that were in front of you that were, mid level. And those types of things make the environment more immersive. So to add on to what you were saying, not only were they going to have stories playing out around you in an interactive area, which is how it was advertised when it was first presented, there was supposed to be a third attraction there, which would have been, all ages attraction and experience, something fun, and they got rid of it. So that transportation experience that would have, given you a unique thing. And again, that was ditched in favor of redoing the concept around the original attractions being completely reworked for the new sequel trilogy. So the story behind it and the location of it, like originally in Florida where it was supposed to be located, would have played out so that they would have had another available wedge in order to put Radiator Springs, because that was on the table. They were going to do a version of Radiator Springs in the back corner there where they have built this Star Cruiser hotel weirdness, this giant cement box that people are going to spend ridiculous amounts of money on. But anyway, this was such a disappointment. And then of course we have the vast difference in the park passes that I still can't get by, that you spend $800 and change for three park Universal pass, right? Look at that. Look at everything it includes too. Read what it's like. Oh, you're muted, Lorena.
I did that so people wouldn't think there were bullets outside because I was typing so fast.
Oh.
I didn't get the premiere pass at first because I was being cheap, and I said I want to see what their passes are like. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is the one that I have. This is what I paid for out of state. Mm-hmm. 3 parks. So I get the studios, I get Islands of Adventure, and I get the most awesome water park ever, and that's Volcano Bay. It is insane how good that water park is. 3 parks, no blackout dates for me, except for Volcano Bay, I think 1 month in July. That's like about it. But everything else, no blackout dates. No blackout dates. You're allowed to pay monthly. And this is it. $559. Something equivalent to that at Disney would be twice that.
Yeah, it's twice. That's the thing, is it's like the last time I went to Disneyland, I had this like sinking feeling, like it was the first time I really felt like I think I'm being ripped off. Like I feel like I'm not, there was some sort of like, and I think part of it is that the sequel trilogy just ended on such a colossal downer. It was such a disappointment. I was so hopeful. Just because maybe I'm an idiot. And I'm just an eternal optimist when it comes to some of this stuff. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Oh, they knew what they were doing. They were planning this out. It's going to be the most brilliant ending in movie history, and it did not turn out that way. I did a whole other video. Well, I did a video for another channel where I talk about comparing the death of Han Solo with the death of Spock in Star Trek II. And when you compare those 2 deaths, it's so clear how the sequel trilogy was bungled. It just makes it more obvious. But But knowing what Galaxy's Edge could have been or was supposed to be is what's disappointing. I even think that all these other things that they're talking about with this hotel, they're promising a lot of stuff now. I guarantee that they'll start, for budgetary reasons, taking things off the table. This is intended to be. Here's the vision, because I went to D23 and I saw that original diorama that they had of Galaxy's Edge. I saw it. Like, I have pictures of it. D23 was kind of like, I mean, it's definitely for Disney nerds, but when they stopped doing the panels with like the old school Imagineers, it just became less interesting and more corporate, more controlled experience with controlled messaging and control. This is where everything is going. It really is just the corporatization of everything, from our, from the world we live in to even our entertainment experiences are becoming more corporatized. And it's sickening to me as just someone who's come from a very non-corporate, more of an entrepreneurial background, is where I came from, of just like, if I want to do something, I just do it. I don't wait to get permission from someone to do something. I just do the thing. And
actually, Chris, that's a good point, because a lot of these tech companies started out that way. Because I worked for some of them.
Yeah, and now they're just in bed with our government and doing their bidding, where the government can't legislate, but they can get these tech companies to do their bidding. Is what we see happening. It's disheartening to see.
It really is.
It's even worse. So.
It really is. It really is. So I know, Chris, you said that you had some insider information about Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, well, I told you it. I said, that it was supposed to be the there was going to be, Culture, it was supposed to be this thing playing out, and then at the last they pulled that at the last minute, and then those actors who were hired to do those experiences ended up working at Knott's in a cowboy theme. They kind of didn't even change the script all that much. It became a bank robbery, right? Instead of smuggling spice or whatever. So
actually, I think it was Kyber crystals. I think it was, if I remember the storyline. Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, and Chris is right. A lot of people don't know that those elements of it. There were lots of things that were planned for guests to experience, and I agree with Chris. Chris, I think you're 100% onto something with this hotel. They're going to cut back story elements all the way along. There's a decent chance I'll be going to this. When it opens or before it opens or whatever, and of course I'll take as much video and images as I possibly can. But at the same time, I will, if I do that, I probably will never do it again. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunately what I think that they're going to be gearing this towards. And it will be an elitist experience. At least when you get on an actual cruise ship, you have something to take away, like an experience to take away. You ate a completely different cuisine. Chances are what you're going to be eating is going to look different here in this thing, but it's going to be just repackaged things that you're familiar with, because they can't get too far away.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, no, real quick. I just think that the part of their strategy is that they promote a thing to be this, and here's the vision, and that gets seeded in our minds of what the experience is going to be. Then once they make the budget cuts to it, because reality sets in about exactly what this can be, and it ends up not being even close to what was originally pitched. That's why I think Galaxy's Edge was such a disappointment. That's why I think this hotel experience, I think it's going to be a disappointment. I'm sorry to say, because they're promoting it to be a certain thing. But the thing is that your impression in your head of what it should be, that's just seated in your brain, and then when you actually see the experience, it's not going to be that, right? So I think it's a bait and switch, and I think that I'm wise to it now, and I wish more people will get wise to it. They promote something with these amazing conceptual art. Here's the pitch of what it's going to be, and then once you get to the actual experience, it's not even close to what was pitched. Even with like the Galaxy's Edge, I did an article where I said, here are the things that they should do to improve it. actual, like, here's what you do. If you made these changes, you would immediately improve it. And they're not things that are huge budgetary things, right? And I think the number one thing on it was just sell alcohol all through the park. Just make it like California Adventure, right? So I don't know. Yeah.
It's with this whole Galactic Star Cruiser, because I know my whole thing is that it seemed like it was going to be a one and done, because when this was first announced, I was like, okay, this is cool. It's going to be like a Star Wars hotel. It's going to basically be like a convention 24/7. It's pretty much what it's going to be like. And now, not only is it like extremely overpriced, but it's extremely regulated down to like every half hour of things they have you doing for less than 48 hours. And that's not a vacation.
Yeah, they're promoting it as a 3-day 2-night experience, and it's just not. Not only that, I mean, there is an advantage. You're guaranteed to, and you can let your friend Campion know this, Chris, that he's guaranteed to get on to Rise of the Resistance if he goes here to this hotel.
Yeah, and if you have
I'm teasing, Chris.
If you're too funny, I was gonna say, and if you have a certain plot line, guess what? It completes part of your story with the Galactic Star Cruiser. It's and I am going to get to the food, because I am a foodie, and I do have to say this. I wasn't impressed by the food that they showed pictures of it, and it looked like something between Panda Express and what was it? I think I said Panda Express and Chipotle had a baby. That's pretty much what the food looked like.
Docking Bay?
Yeah, it didn't. Not a document for the Galactic Star Cruiser, like what they're going to be serving for the images that they had. I'm like, I've seen way better, much more futuristic looking food on episodes of MasterChef on television. That looked, but this, I'm like, no, it's with the blue shrimp. No, but again, it goes down to the fact that the brand recognition is down. And then I don't know who they think is supposed to be able to pay like $6,000 for 2 nights. And that's just for the bargain basement compartment. It's either one and done. I don't see people doing this like on a repeat basis. It's not like every year, hey, let's go stay at Pop Century, or hey, let's go stay at Art of Animation. It's like that's something where the price point is low enough where people repeat and go.
Well, yeah, but see, I have friends, and this is going to sound elitist. It's not. I have friends who describe the value resorts like the Pop Century and stuff like that as the gulags. But anyway, so
I thought that was the All-Star Rest.
Yeah, it's All-Star. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought that was the All-Star.
All-Star sports and All-Star music. Yeah, people are like, oh no. I'm like, yeah, no, but it's and again, I mean, that's just kind of an amusement amusing take there. But at least the opportunity to go and stay on property, utilize the transportation, and get a valuable and value laden vacation was on the table. Now that doesn't exist. Staying at AOA, Art of Animation Resort, has gotten incredibly expensive. Dragging your kids to that resort, staying in the family suite, you're spending an exorbitant amount of money. You're better off trying to stay at the Waldorf, at times, depending upon the time of the year, in the Bonnet Creek Resort.
Or the Hilton Creek. I was going to say the Hilton Bonnet Creek, because they built 2 of them. They built the Waldorf, and then they built the other Bonnet Creek Hilton. So it's like a complex with the 2 of them.
And again, I mean, there are so many Hiltons in that area that qualify as, on property hotels, that you've essentially taken away the value of the other Disney properties. Again, there used to be a benefit to staying on Disney property, and now they've removed that. I mean, it's getting worse and worse.
It's bad. And it started, at least from a consumer point of view. Yeah, Port Orleans is awesome. I do like the Port Orleans Resort.
Oh, I love it.
Started when they started charging more money for stroller rentals.
Yeah.
And this may not seem like a big deal, but if you're a family and you're used to, you have young children, especially if you have more than several young kids, when they get tired and you can just throw them in the stroller, and stroller rental was relatively cheap at Disney. Pretty much everyone did it. They started doing that, then banning the type of strollers that you could bring into the park.
They tried to make a size limit so that, because people were moving, had like freaking Winnebago strollers at one point in time. But I just look for those of you with kids, remember this, and I'm not promoting them in any way. It's not a promotion for them. You go to ownerslocker.com and click on the link for the Magic Stroller rental, because they'll deliver the stroller to your hotel, and they're quality strollers. They're not the garbage you get from some of those other rental services. And they work out really great, and so check them out for sure. There's also, I don't remember the link exactly, but there's another one that I would point people towards for ECV rental if you have an elderly person or someone who requires that kind of mobility device. There's other ways to do that are far cheaper than getting them from Disney. Disney will.
If you go to mousesavers.net, if you go there, they have all of that information. They're like the gurus at getting coupons and comparing resorts, and it's unbiased information. So they'll tell you on-site, off-site, ECV rentals, stroller rentals, all those kinds of things.
I can't wait to see what Len Testa comes back with underneath the new Genie. And
I can't wait for that.
I mean, he's a math genius, right? And that's what he's been doing for years. I mean, he gave you the unofficial guide to,
been
Disney
using
World.
that for years. It's like Lines app and like the data and everything.
Yeah. And his Lines app is the best out to plan your vacation. I can't say enough great things about that. But at the same time, his perspective on stuff is he just sometimes he's straight out with it. And I have a feeling between what's happening with Genie and the Lightning Pass and what's going to happen with this hotel, I think he's going to, drop the hammer. And I think a lot of people are just going to have to wake up. But look, let's real quick, because Chris got us there and I didn't get a chance to jump in. Disney's losing market share to Universal. Like left and right, like in faster. I mean, it was moving along pretty good because they didn't have anything to compete. They didn't have the Potter swatter that they thought Avatar was going to be, right? So they went out and they, fast tracked doing this Disney thing at these two Galaxy's Edge parks. And when Epic Universe opens,
that is good. There's two things. One, Epic Universe, because Nintendo has a higher brand recognition worldwide than Disney. So they're going to put Nintendo World over there. Also, I heard they're putting Fantastic Beasts in there as well. And there's something else that's coming. And the only reason that I know this is because my niece is an insanely huge fan. Peppa Pig is getting her own theme park at Legoland. If you have young kids, especially young girls, Peppa Pig is flipping huge. She's getting her own theme park. And my sister already told me my niece wants to go, and I'm on the hook to take her when it opens next year. But all these alternatives, like with Universal expanding and like with Legoland and all that, they're pulling market share away like crazy. If you go to I'm trying to figure my thing. Like when you go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because when Galaxy's Edge basically went belly up, no one wanted to go, all that focus went to, it's like, okay, so Universal has Diagon Alley and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And you don't even have to step out of the parks to get both experiences. You jump on the Hogwarts Express train, which also has these interactive screens where you go from one land to the other. And it's not the same in each direction. So you get a different experience depending on when you're going, either if you're going from Diagon Alley to Hogsmeade or Hogsmeade to Diagon Alley. And it's crazy immersive. You see people, even if Universal looks empty, Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade are freaking crowded full of people. People with like the robes on, people who have, like the wands. They're, getting candy and Hogsmeade. They're riding the horses. They're just enjoying how immersive everything is. And the rides are. it's incredible, even down to I tell people, even down to the detail of over in Hogsmeade, if you go in the girls' bathroom, ladies' bathroom, okay, Moaning Myrtle is in there.
Yeah.
That freaked me out. I'm like, what the heck? Who is Moaning Myrtle is in the
That's the
girls'
level
bathroom.
of detail that I think was missing from Galaxy's Edge. It didn't feel, it felt like most of the purpose of it was to sell merch. And while, having been to most of the Star Wars celebrations, including in Orlando, it's, that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
But also part of the experience is drinking with the 501st in the hotel bar or going to one of their after parties. You know what I mean? Like I just think that there's something, it's like, I feel like the Harry Potter land was designed by people who are fans, and Galaxy's Edge was designed by some corporate suit.
Well,
it's the feeling. It's just a gut feeling. When you look at choices that are made, it's like, no, we need more places for people to buy things. Because then I think, what is there to do? There's 2 rides, and then everything else is built around even the sort of Jedi lightsaber thing, which those lightsabers, I'm sorry if you bought one, I think they look cheap to me. I think they look cheap. And it was like a big red flag when toys came out, Star Wars toys came out before Force Awakens. I didn't buy any, by the way. But when they had almost like the first action figures that came out, they look like corpses. They're like these just like straight, like there's no articulation. They're just cheap. And I was like, wow, these toys look really cheap. Like that was like just a little red flag of like, maybe this Disney, because I was initially very excited that Disney had taken over Star Wars. I thought, okay, this is cool. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, the prequels have aged much better. And the Star Wars sequels just get worse and worse the more, you scrutinize it. Anyways, again, another rant. I'm so sorry.
No,
you're good.
No, it's fine.
Just consider us the choir, my friend.
That's what we are. But Black Superwoman, yes, she's absolutely right. The Wizarding World has foods, rides, and the merch. So you can just walk around doing witch stuff. Yeah. Absolutely. Even if you can't get these things to work, they have witches and wizards around to help you get them to work.
And not just that, the merch, because let's just looking at that, like there is merch in the world of Harry Potter. There are places you can buy stuff in Harry Potter. They kind of integrated that in. There's something about the experience of the merch, the way the presentation is in Wizarding World, where it feels like it's part of the experience also. And a lot of it are items that are from the world, right? Like they're part of like wands and all this. It's like, yeah, they sell wands in Harry Potter, right? Like you get a wand, right? So whereas like Galaxy's Edge just seemed like it's just, here's the merch, you can buy it. It wasn't integrated in. It doesn't,
I don't know. I mean, I was one of those people. I was like, okay, I can't wait to go into Savi's and see what, they have there, because these are going to be more curiosities. You can buy more replicas of like the sabers and stuff like that, and you could, at that time, they had a limited supply of the kyber crystals in various colors. So it was like hitting the lottery if you got like the color that you were looking for, these kyber crystals, which, control what color the lightsaber is. Tell somebody hacked that, where you just like programmed whatever color you wanted on the chip and put that in your lightsaber and it worked fine. But it just, it's a frustrating thing when you spend $200 in that lightsaber experience and 2 months later your blade's dead, because it was poorly manufactured, and there was people having all kinds of these issues, whereas the wands, they work. I mean, of course, they're a much more simple device, but they work, and they are far cheaper.
Oh,
and think about it. You can get robes, a scarf, house robes, a scarf, and a wand for less than you're going to get for one of the decent lightsabers that are there, which is insane.
I think the robe, the robe's $125, the wand is $60, the scarf is, well, at least like the one I have here, I think that was $40. And you didn't feel like it was merch that ripped you off. You actually felt like you had on robes from Hogwarts, and you felt like a student at Hogwarts when you had, all of that stuff on.
Yeah, it's it's frustrating. And again, I mean, most people, they walk into that lightsaber experience, they don't know what parts they're picking. They don't know the Jedis that these are associated with, and they don't know if they're attached to or not attached to the extended universe, the expanded universe. They don't know any of that. They're going in there going, oh, that one looks cool, I'll take that one. Oh, I want this color kyber crystal.
Which reminds me of something else. Butterbeer looks a heck of a lot more attractive than blue milk. And I've had frozen butterbeer, tap butterbeer ice cream, hot butterbeer.
And the alcoholic version of butterbeer, which is really pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Chef's kiss. It's so good.
Yeah, and then you when you have blue or green milk, you better get vodka in it to help you like pass the flavor in your mouth. Because dang,
it is the butterbeer. I mean, no joke. Every time I've gone to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the butterbeer carts outside, the line goes on for freaking ever.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's just like, that's the thing. It's like to be able to have butterbeer, just like they talk about, in the books and how they show, in the movies. And yeah, it's kind of pricey. If you go to the Three Broomsticks, you can get it in a souvenir mug, which I think is a better deal. But either way, it actually freaking tastes good. It tastes good. Yeah, much better than the green and blue soy milk they serve at Galaxy.
Well, and again, I mean, you go to Oga's Cantina, right, which is not Mos Eisley's by any stretch of the imagination. And you have the droid from the original Star Tours. They're spinning discs, Rex or D-Rex or whatever they've renamed him. And it is annoying. Gets to be annoying. It's not entertaining. The place is loud. Unnecessarily loud. You can't enjoy time with the people that you're there with, and the drinks taste horrible, all of them. And I had a pretty decent selection of them one day, and none of them got any better than the other. Some of them make your lips numb or your tongue numb. I mean, it's all these like little tricks that they're using, molecular beverage delivery and crap that I don't care about. I want something that tastes good, that reminds me I'm in this, different place.
I'm popping open
I see that.
Three Broomsticks, because one of the cool things about Three Broomsticks is none of the chairs are like the same. So if you're at a table, you can have chairs with a couple different heights and a bench or something. It just looks cool. And
I always get the chair that doesn't have the legs that are level, it seems like. So I'm always doing this. Or maybe that's just I'm unlucky. But.
I think there is a consensus that Wizarding World is much far superior to Galaxy's Edge. I'm just curious, maybe if either of you have any inside knowledge of is there an effort? I mean, does Disney? I mean, any corporation, if they care a lot about money, and all of them do, take a hard look at themselves and say, what can we do better to serve the consumer? We're losing, as you pointed out, market share to Universal. So do they look at themselves and say, we kind of screwed up this Galaxy's Edge thing. We kind of, maybe overestimated the Star Wars brand. We tried to make a Star Wars trilogy and it got a mixed reception. You cannot say that the Disney sequel Star Wars trilogy was successful. It is objectively not successful. It had a mixed reception, right? Mixed. And that's the best you could say. And in some case, you could say a horrible reception, especially with the last film, which was, I think, The Last Jedi, which divided people. I think everyone was united in their disdain for that final movie. It just disrespected the brand. But are they looking at themselves saying, we got to improve Galaxy's Edge. We're going to set it in Mandalorian times. Princess Leia is going to be there. A guy walking around will be Han Solo or some smugglers. Like, are they looking at this and going like, as much as I know that there are fans of Rey out there, I think there are a lot of fans of Anakin, Obi-Wan, Princess Leia,
absolutely.
Amidala, just why can't they just sort of do hodgepodge of like, it's you know what, it's Tatooine, but it's, you know, it's a mix of all these eras. I think people are smart enough to know, like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, like Wizarding World of Harry Potter is not necessarily set in any specific time period in Harry Potter. It's just,
No.
I think that's fine. Like, I don't need to know that there's a lore behind Batu. Frankly, I don't care. I just want to know that I've gone to Star Wars, and I don't feel like I've gone to a Star Wars like place. I'm constantly reminded that I'm there and my purpose is to give Disney more of my money. And I'm offended by that. I went twice, and both times and the second time was just like, was it as bad as I thought? And it was like, oh yeah, it is. And that's what prompted me to write that article on Film Thread. I'll find it and put it.
Chris, let me promise you this. If you go in Florida in August, it'll be even worse than you remember at Disneyland.
Oh, really? That bad, huh?
I
have the Galaxy's Edge in Florida, to be fair. I've only gone in California because I live in Pasadena, which is like maybe 40 minutes from Anaheim. So
right.
Yeah, I know Pasadena.
Yeah, it's a fun place to live. It's pretty chill here, but like it's you know, I was an annual pass holder for so long, and I'm just colossally disappointed with so many of Disney's choices now. You know, so.
Well, I would just add to kind of add on to that. I really think that Disney thinks that they're so arrogant that they can't fail, and I really do believe that, because when you go to I just trying to add on a little bit more, but when you go to, like, I haven't been inside the Disney park except for Magic Kingdom for the Halloween thing. I went over to Disney Springs. There are 2 Star Wars specific stores. One is like a Galaxy Outpost store that seems to have mostly original trilogy and old school stuff. Lots of activity in there. People just seem to be buying up everything. Another one is one where they kind of tried to take stuff from Galaxy's Edge and put it in there to entice people to buy, and people are kind of looking around like, what the heck is this place? We're going back over to the other place with Star Wars merch that we recognize. I honestly think that Disney is too arrogant to think that they cannot fail. They can't think of a day that's going to come when people are just like, no, I'd rather go someplace else than go to Disney.
Well, then they're very short-sighted, and they've had a history of failures, and they've been very public. Eisner had a catastrophic one on his way out the door with the California Adventure and its original iteration, with a bunch of off-the-shelf attractions that fell flat. You know, in an experience that was less than half a day when it opened. You had. Well, of course, obviously Galaxy's Edge is one of those failures. They just haven't come to terms with it yet, and they've done it. They've created opportunities to land and fall flat, and they're doing it again with Project Gamma, with the tear down and rebuild of Epcot Center. In the Future World is being in favor of adding things to it that were never intended to be in the park in the first place. And if you talk to Tony Baxter or any of the other original Imagineers that worked on that project, they'll tell you they literally kept anything IP related outside of outside of that park for a reason. They wanted it to be engaging for everybody around the world. They introduced the concept in the front of the park in Future World as edutainment. They added additional edutainment, via film in the World Showcase areas. It was a learn and imagine the future kind of an experience. That's why it was called Future World, and it needed to be updated regularly. And it was a commitment that they had their partners at the time, the sponsors for each of the attractions, commit to, and they would refresh it occasionally, and it would get an update here and there. And then, I guess we stopped being able to imagine the future. And, or at least they did, which blows my mind, because Disney, visionary company, should be pretty good at looking forward. Anyway, I'm done. Rant over.
Exactly. I mean, one of my things is for like the longest time, it's like so many people who I knew who were engineers, we loved going to Disney because we literally idolized the Imagineers. Like, I have this big, huge, thick coffee table book that's gorgeous. That's about, Imagineering. Watch the Imagineering story on Disney Plus. but it just seems that the art to that is just gone, because Imagineering was like engineering and art together, and to create something that you'd never seen before. And now it's like the art is gone, as exemplified by that Stargate and the Death Taco that's out at Epcot now for the new water show. And now you can't see the countries now, and the sightline looks horrible.
It does. But look, they knew that going in. I mean, they had height balloons and all kinds of stuff, and they had to redesign some things so that they could, get all the water jets to work and everything else. I mean, it's a nightmare. And, by them changing dramatically, a lot of the elements there to, semi-permanent in the way things, they've just made one of the god ugliest choices they ever could have for the middle of that park, which used to be gorgeous. Again, all of these choices have been bad, and we're looking at over a decade of bad choices now. It's not, I mean, I don't even want to get into it. I can go on forever.
Disney's not above, making a course correct.
No, they do.
Right? I mean, when you look at, you must know this, the history of California Adventure.
Yeah.
It is a vastly different theme park than what it was how it originally launched, right? Yeah. Like attractions just ripped out. It was almost completely redesigned. Just almost starting from scratch. Now it's become a viable, it's a park that you could only go to California Adventure and have just as good a time. I would say the things I like about the original Disneyland are the things that are nostalgic for me. California Adventure is its own thing. I mean, it's got Soarin', it's got Carthay Circle. It's pretty. Among so many other things, right? So they're not above acknowledging mistakes, but why is there not a pivot? I don't understand why there's not been some pivot or acknowledging that this is less than what was promised, and we're going to make corrections in addition to scaling the budget. Like when I look, I don't see how families can do it these days, scale the experience in some way to make it possible. Got culture. I love your, what do you have? Like a green screen?
Yeah, it's a green cup.
Yeah. So you see the cup disappears.
I love it. Your face disappears for a second. That's fantastic. Look, that's how, a company remains relevant, right? Yeah. Is looking and saying, hey, we made these mistakes. Let's make course corrections, because, and Disney has had, just knowing the history of the company, how it, from revitalizing animation in the 90s, right? Disney was kind of dead in the water when it came to animation, right? Yeah. Until the 90s when they got it together, right? Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, all of that. I just wonder, is there anyone that has that kind of self-reflection in the company to just say, we have made these grievous errors and need to correct that? Or do they do any, when I ever have been to Star Wars Celebration or been to D23, whenever they send out a survey, I fill those out. I take the time to fill out any survey from those, because I want to know what questions they're asking, right? And I want to know kind of what they're leading. And it was interesting. It's just interesting when you look at when you look at how even the experience of Star Wars Celebration has changed, which now I just don't. I don't know that it's going to be great. I always liked when Lucasfilm was more involved. I'm talking about old Lucasfilm before Disney. So,
Chris, what if I told you, because of everything you just said, that they knew exactly how poorly they were doing with Galaxy's Edge, exactly how poorly they were going to do with this this presentation of Genie and the lightning passes, and what if I told you that they already knew they were going to get backlash for the last 5 decisions that they've had publicly?
Well, first of all, it seems stupid that they would just make those decisions. Are they trying to shrink their market and just say that Disney, okay, Knott's, look, I know how much a Knott's annual pass costs, right? It's cheap. And you can even get that food pass. That one is cheap too. That is a different market than what Disney's going after, right?
Mhm.
Which is a upper middle class. I'm sorry, let's call it out. It's
That's what
upper-
it is. It's like the wine moms. It used to be that Disney's big thing was you can bring a family of four for this low price and
Yep.
look at all the value you get. You don't see those commercials
No.
anymore.
No.
They're not doing that.
No.
It's just
No.
this is how much it's going to cost. If you can't afford it, too bad. We're not going for you.
Once they phased out the travel agent from their business by all the direct stuff that they do, and they were getting very successful at it, I think they realized we can charge more and offer less. And that right now, I believe, and one of the reasons I think this is true, because the surveys that had come back with such an overwhelming negative response, and yet they made the decisions anyway to do this, is because they're comfortable losing a certain percentage of these people, because they're going to continue to charge more and more and deliver less and less. And that's not smart business. But Disney hasn't done smart business in a while. There's a whole lot of companies that have not done smart business in a while, and that's not good for anyone. So, but yeah. Oh well, I'm gonna let you do this article because we are running out of time, and I will never shut up.
We're running out. There's one question that Tim Possible brought up one that said, which one is better, Star Wars and Disney World or Disneyland, or same?
That's for you. That's for
you culture.
I've only been to Disneyland once, so
I'm going to say this. Disneyland has 65 attractions prior to the addition of Galaxy's Edge. The entirety of Disney World I think they have 63 in all 4 parks and all that, not counting the water parks. So I would say Disneyland has a better experience. Plus the weather is more temperate. Whereas when you go to Disney World, if it's in the summer when it's, or anytime when it's cheap, you will die. I mean, it's just hot. I mean, not literally you'll die. It's uncomfortable. So I don't know, but they're exactly the same, one for one. They are the same mistake in both. They are same $1 billion mistake in both locations. Yeah. $1 billion over here, $1 billion over here.
Right.
Disney has not made a profit on Star Wars at all. They aren't even close. And anybody who makes an argument for that is fooling themselves, because right now they are still amortizing $4 billion for Star Wars.
Thank you so much, Crimson Fang, for $2. The Ferengi rule of acquisition 10. Greed is eternal.
Greed is eternal. True. But here you can manage greed, and Disney did it for a very long time, and they did it very well. And up until about the midpoint in Iger's control, things went along pretty well.
Right.
And like I said, the advent and the adoption of the next gen project is the thing that started to run them downhill. And I will fight anybody. I will fight anybody if you want to argue that point.
I'm making people dizzy. So this cool article from Chris, which I did drop into the chat. I'm going to put it in the description. 5 ways to fix Galaxy's Edge. Serve alcohol everywhere at Galaxy's Edge.
That's an obvious one to me. It's like, hey, it worked for California Adventure. I don't know why they just say this is the land where you can just walk up and get a blue milk and rum, which might actually sell more blue milk, right? So
true.
That would be my of choice.
I don't know why they don't really. I don't know if it has to do with the liquor laws here. It's a little different from California, but if it had if it was say Bourbon Street, where you could take your alcohol with you.
They have little kiosks, you can
totally see that.
Those Coke bombs. Why not get, you walk up and you get a drink. That way there wouldn't be such a line at the cantina, right? There's always a line to get into that, and then you have a limited window. It's the least.
Was it 2 hours that you get?
It's awful. And then they sit you with a group of people that you don't know. You got to go.
No, I was going to say you only have 45 minutes there.
That's it. Yeah.
45 now?
Yeah, you have 45 minutes. You can get a maximum of 2 alcoholic beverages, and they have a limited menu. In Florida, there is a walk-up stall for blue and green milk, and I believe you can get alcohol in those outside rather than focusing on the cantina. But that's just from the Florida side of things.
45 minutes? No.
Yeah.
So it's just there's some sort of something about it that just feels so false and not fun. is you got to leave in 45 minutes. I mean, they should have made that bar much larger for one, and just sell alcohol everywhere in the park. And if you click through the article, I have other suggestions, probably things you've already thought of,
No, I didn't even visit upon any of that as far as, but yeah, 45 minutes and they're saying you need to get out of here.
No, I'm like 45 minutes. I have heard such bad things about this freaking blue milk.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But the one thing
I love this article.
I tried to really think seriously about this.
Light side and dark side parades. You know what? Yeah, this would be freaking awesome.
They do parades down Main Street and other parts of Disneyland. Why not do a parade? Light side and dark side parades. The dark side one at night, the light side one is during the day.
Mm-hmm.
It would be. I mean, it just seems these are like really obvious things, and I'm sure that maybe some of this was even planned. But clearly didn't play out.
There's still some infrastructure there from some of their plans that is incomplete. Just FYI. Right. Yep.
Yub Nub parade.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, look, they had a parade in Star Wars Episode 1. I mean, they could have repeated some of that. I mean, that you know what? You could get a bunch of the kids dress up as Ewoks and have them follow somebody in the Yub Nub parade.
Exactly.
That would be awesome. Right? I mean, you would actually get people to pay like an extra $20 in kit to here's $20 and your kid gets to be in the thing.
You
right?
were right, Tom.
But it's just weird because just enough. Good one, Tom. But it's like, they have these people walking around in costumes throughout Galaxy's Edge, and it's like, that's great. I can see that at Comic-Con. I can see that, there's nothing special about that.
Dude, hundreds of people from the 501st showing up at freaking, Star Wars Celebration or at Comic-Con.
And they used to at Star Wars weekends before they 86 that.
God. Star Wars weekends were so great. Oh my goodness.
Oh man, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have tickets to Star Wars Celebration, which they've moved the date 3 times. And I bought those tickets before Rise of Skywalker came out. And I don't know if I really want to go. It just feels like, and it's in Anaheim, right? It's in Anaheim at the convention center.
Across the street.
Beams.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Send in the aliens, droids, smugglers, princesses, and Jedi. Also encourage cosplay. Now, see, they used to do this. They used to encourage cosplay. You could come with your robes and you're just like Star Wars get up and whatever, and it was cool. It was like expected. Even when they had Star Wars weekends, that's when people really descended down there, and it was like a convention every weekend. And now you can't do that.
No.
Well,
anymore.
The convention experience is generally fan made, right? It's like the fans decide that. Sort of like the nights at Disneyland that are not official, like Goth Night, or you know what I mean? Like there are these ones that are completely unofficial that people just kind of know about. Anything that's organic, that's fan made, I think is like, that's the fans saying, this is what we want, this is fun, but a sort of corporate, like this is what the option we're going to present to you, and that's what you get. That seems to always feel hollow to me. So yeah, that was just about like populate the park with, so it feels in world, because there just wasn't enough of it. There's a guy walking around as Kylo Ren and a girl walking around as Rey and some first order troopers. It's not enough. It's kind of weak.
No, it's not like I remember being in the park and you had like a regiment of stormtroopers and Darth Vader was right there in the middle.
Oh, it's just great.
Walking through the crowd of people.
Yeah, well, at least they actually have the stormtroopers there now, or the first order troopers now, walking around on the platforms that were supposed to be designed for the show that Chris was talking about before. So.
Tom, thank you so much. You don't have to do that. Midnight's Edge After Dark for $20. And thank you for being a channel member. He says, I don't know who this Chris guy is, but he really knows his stuff. I want to grow up to be just like him.
Me too.
Well, complain a lot. That will help you.
Well, wait,
have
you met
epic
Tom?
Rants.
Tom complains all the time. Oh, wait, you're on that channel all the time.
Occasionally,
Yeah.
when they invite me, I'm
Yeah.
passionate about something.
Yeah. Hey, well, yeah. Wow. I'm passionate about this stuff. Makes me crazy. You should see me get nuts about it every time.
Yeah, we'll just
Every
it's
time.
kind of like also why we started doing this because we'll rant on the other shows. We're like, okay, we got to get to the Florida topics, but
Florida stuff.
we're trying to get to.
We're almost done. We're almost done.
I wish I was half as
God, this
sexy.
picture's so
Culture
great.
Casinos here. I love this. I haven't.
That's from the land. It's just like a droid just sitting in some area, and it looked kind of sad. I'm like, do they mean to do that? It's like part of the decor, and it's
Just leave your astromech laying
that
around.
that's how can you disrespect your astromech droid like that? That just seems very wrong.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like it just seemed like there wasn't that attention to detail about like again, I think, Westworld, and I'm talking about the old school Westworld, was like, that was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was a theme park that was like that? Like that's where kind of Jurassic Park came from, right? But like, yeah, like I just, that's what I thought that this Star Wars land was going to be. And like this thing, activities or entertainment that don't require additional fees, just something that you can do, something that like a performer that does something, or like, like just something that's like part of the world, something that would have happened in Star Wars, right? Like, but everything seemed to require this additional fee on top of getting into the park, right? Like getting a lightsaber, building a droid. Couldn't you just build a droid for fun? And if I like it, I can buy it. But if I don't like it, I don't have to buy it. Like a Lego type of experience, right? Where it's just like, oh, I really like what I created. I'd like to purchase this, or I'm just here to goof, whatever.
Because that's what they used to do back in the day, I think at the World of Disney or close to it, or maybe it was Once Upon a Toy, where they had like the Mr. Potato Heads. Right. And you could get like all the crazy pieces and put it together and make your own like Mr. Potato Head. You could buy it with the parts and everything, or you didn't have to. You just had fun just playing with it and putting it together.
Again, there needs to be experiences.
That's Droid Depot.
Yeah, experiences that like it's really cool to do this, but there's not an additional fee. I don't have to register. I don't need an app. It's just something that happens. I mean, if anything, if you're and this is the thing that kind of bugs me about this park, is there's an app that's attached to it, which is just another thing to like, so I'm going to be looking at my screen while I'm trying to have an organic experience, which I think totally takes you out of it. So,
and they're like, and they tried to originally when this thing opened. Yeah, Once Upon a Toy. When this thing opened, right, and this experience that Lorraine is describing is the Droid Depot, and you have to pay extra for it. But you're right, Chris. You get pulled out all the time when you have to pull out what they call your data pad. That's what the cast members will call your data pad, which is your phone, to make sure you don't miss your virtual queue time for Rise of the Resistance. Yeah. Because you don't know when that group's going to get called, because that attraction breaks down every 15 minutes. So it
still breaks down.
No, dude. They set a record for number of attractions down simultaneously across all four parks like less than 2 weeks ago. Wow. I mean, and again, I mean, it comes down to how the parks are being operated. You have less staff. Operating fewer vehicles, leading to more lines for the customers. They create artificial scarcity for attractions that never should have scarcity, which include obviously Haunted Mansion and Spaceship Earth, and anything that's an omnimover. Again, I mean, I'll stop talking.
But it used to be that downtime was rare. Like something really, really bad or unexpected had to happen for a ride to malfunction. Like the Three Caballeros, at the Mexico Pavilion. Oh, all right. Like they pulled out the animatronics and they put like a freaking cardboard standee.
Three plywood standees.
Three plywood standees. Then when they finally replaced it, it wasn't that long ago where I guess it like finally decided it had it and it flipped over in half or something like that.
I don't remember which one it was. I don't think it was Donald. It was one of the other ones. But yeah, I mean, and of course, that's something they have to repair the frame. I mean, that takes a little bit to repair that animatronic. But it was funny that after years and years, they finally put it back in place. And then, of course, it breaks down.
I think all of the animatronics just started revolting at the same time.
I actually still have my
the
my
Yeti.
yeah.
The Yeti and Animal King. Oh, sorry, Culture. I mean to talk over you.
No. I mean, there's an example here of the thermal detonator soda.
Oh yeah, they have this for sale over at the Galaxy's Edge outpost at Disney Springs, and
It's
they're
supposed to be a land
collecting
exclusive.
dust.
It's supposed to be a land exclusive.
Well, they have plenty of them in there, and they're all collecting dust.
Yeah. And yeah, the Yeti, which Joe Rohde promised he would fix before he left the company, is still broken.
Yeah, that was a joke. We're just like, are they ever going to freaking fix the Yeti?
Yeah.
And it never got fixed. And it's like one of the worst examples of just a bad value for show ever. It's like,
it's also and oopsie engineering. So anyway. Well, I know we're trying to wind down, and I never shut up, so I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, same here. Same here. No more rants.
So let's see. We're going to wrap up this last one. Offer rewards and a range of lower priced options for food and merch. Wow.
That's kind of an obvious, but
yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen. I really think that they've decided that Disney has decided that they've targeted a certain type of consumer, which is upper middle class, and they're going to they're just they're ignoring a whole other market, the market that really got them there, I believe, which are working families, and so it's disheartening. It's disheartening to see this happen in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can you say?
Yeah. Yeah, and here we are. Yeah. We're talking negatively about Disney and positively about Universal, specifically Orlando. But
yeah, I never. If you would have told me that I would be going to Universal and gladly going to Universal and kind of mad that there's more stuff at Universal that I want to buy than I have money, I would have thought that you were crazy. I mean, with Halloween Horror Nights coming up. Because I went to the Halloween, because Halloween time at Disneyland is freaking insane. I went there one year and blew my mind. They had the so-called Boo Bash, which is the more expensive Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. That was just basically a bust. Everything was overpriced. Hardly anything there was special. It was just horrible. It just wasn't worth it. And then you have Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, just the sets and stuff that they're building, even the food offerings. There's so many food offerings. There's even a slaughterhouse that's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's themed to that. And even the food menu is themed to that. But they're doing that attention to detail that even if you've never been, it's like, holy crap, I just want to check it out. Bye, Tom. It's just something else. How they just pamper their pass holders. Not even just pass holders. Even if you're just a day guest, you see how well Universal treats their pass holders. You just want to become one.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost much. That's the thing. And even on the mid-level passes, yeah. Bye, Tom. Even on the mid-level passes for Universal, you don't get a whole lot of blockout days, right? I mean, there's advantages. You merch, food, all kinds of advantages to being a pass holder. It's great. It's great.
Absolutely, absolutely great. Oh my gosh, this was just so much fun. Time just flew. It just flew by. Love talking theme parks, and love, Chris, that you got to join us in culture. Of course we have to do it again, and of course you're invited to come on again.
Yeah, I want to do this all the time.
I know, this is so much fun.
I want to talk about how they can disassemble part of the castle at Disney World in case of a major hurricane event.
Ooh.
Oh wait, they can.
They can take the tops off of the towers. There's some stuff that they can do,
really?
And if they have enough warning. There's some stuff. There's some stuff.
Well, tune in next time for the next show.
there's some stuff. We got some stuff. We can talk about how the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train attraction was supposed to be 3 times longer than it is, and there was an additional show scene that we didn't get.
Oh, really? It's like the Crazy Mouse attraction for some reason from the Steel Pier. It's what it kind of feels like. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of Theme Park Geeks and Divas. Chris, do you have anything going on you'd like for the folks to know about?
Just, if you're interested in independent film, go to my website, filmthreat.com. And you can also watch and or listen to the Film Threat podcast. Just look up hashtag Film Threat podcast. It's on Spotify and everything. And, I'm Googleable. So whatever you find, you're going to find good stuff and bad stuff. So
Googleable sounds kind of dirty. Maybe
yeah,
Googleable.
That's true.
Googleable.
Just follow what I do. I hope you like it. I hope you, theme parks is something I sort of dip my toe in every once in a while because I am just I'm merely a fan. I love this stuff, but I see, seeing Disney kind of making a lot of missteps lately. I'm kind of surprised there have been no course corrections.
Oh,
really shocking to me. So
yeah, no. And one final parting shot on that. What do you think will be the next successful Disney Marvel related film?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really don't know. I'm kind of excited to see Shang-Chi. I haven't seen it yet, but it's a Jackie Chan movie. I grew up watching Jackie Chan movies in the 80s. I love Jackie Chan, a mix of comedy and martial arts. And it's a Jackie Chan film. Marvel just decided, let's make a Jackie Chan film, went to their, roster of characters. And that looks fun because it looks like a standard Marvel movie. And I think that, yes, I just am hearing about this. Drunk 3PO, Twitter jail. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. All I heard is that it was for something stupid. As for what specific, I don't know. But his Twitter is gone. So I just verified with him that was.
I followed. So that's weird.
Yeah. So get him out of Twitter jail because that just makes no.
Well, that it just makes Twitter because I've had several people that I follow just they're just no longer there. It's not. There's got to be a different. I don't know. Twitter's.
Hey, Fatal.
Hey, Fatal.
Fatal says, "Damn, I used to watch Chris on G4 Attack of the Show."
Okay, good to talk to you. Yeah. I don't know. Twitter is not a fun place. It's the internet. What do you think? People are going to say things.
It's a song copyright.
Oh, that's weird.
On Twitter?
On Twitter? It's with a DCMA takedown?
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't work because it's you can't do very long on. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's happened to me where they just delete a tweet and tell you about it later.
Yeah, and
delete it. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
Here, Tom.
Yeah, I'll probably hear about it a little.
Oh my god!
I know. I'll probably hear about it a little more details, but yeah, I saw it earlier in the chat, but I wanted to verify with Jay if that was true.
Trust but verify.
Exactly. Yeah. One of my favorite lines from Reagan. All right, folks. Well, Culture, you got anything coming up? Want to let folks know about?
Oh, I do shows and stuff on YouTube. I have a Twitch now. I'm very twitchy on Twitch now. I still don't know what I'm doing. I have almost 50 followers. If I get 50 followers and I play games for a few days, I could be an affiliate and something magic happens when you do that. I don't know.
Maybe one day I'll start gaming on Twitch.
Check me out over there. I'm gonna Twitch, and then maybe I'll make Lorena Twitch, and then we could all.
Yeah, I need a game. I need a game system. Lieutenant Crittenden says, looks like it's true. Jay put out a video about it.
Wow.
Okay, cool. I got to check that out.
Yeah.
God, that's just nuts. But as for me, of course, like Culture, I make videos. I hang out on YouTube. I bring cool people on shows like Chris and like Culture and like Tom and a whole bunch of people. Of course, I have got the Lunch Table Show that's on Friday at 12 noon. I'm going to be doing that show for a whole year. So Arwen Avalon is going to be my guest to commemorate year. She's awesome. She's awesome. And Wednesday, I forgot, tomorrow, 7 p.m., I'll be on Force of Light's channel to hang out with Natalie and with Michelle. So
those ladies are awesome.
They're great. They're great. So I can't wait to hang out with them. And of course, streams that have pop up streaming from the park. So I got a new phone and I have a new gimbal, thanks to you guys being so generous with super chats and all that stuff. So it's going to be fun. I now have the same gimbal that Culture has.
The DJI, that's right. Everybody has them. I think all of Geeks and Gamers have them.
I have the DJI.
Yeah.
I got a second phone because my other one's like for work, so I need to have that separate. So got a new one. It's awesome. Check it. Thank you guys so much. Yes, we are definitely going to be doing this again. Take care, everybody. And remember, you will. I can't believe I said this. The guys are probably yelling in their heads at me. Tonight, I will be on the Dark Council as I'm their producer. 8:30 p.m. We'll be over on Abu Nas's channel. So definitely check it out. Thank you, Fatal, for dropping in the chat because you reminded me of that for tonight. So, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much. Please do hit that like button, trying to get us up there as another independent voice out there about theme parks. No travel agent behind us. It's just us hanging out, giving you unfiltered information. So, folks.
That's right. Mead's in 15 minutes. So the afternoon Mead show. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Mead in 15 minutes. Do Reina raid? Go over to Mead, raid their stream, and then go over check out the Dark Council. Thank you. All right, everyone. Take care.